All right, all right. You know you're in for a good evening when the countdown video gets you that hot. Nice job, Jeff. I have a good idea for a new event where you just DJ and we chat. It'll be great. Hey, welcome everybody. This is a who's who of activism I'm seeing in the chat. So super excited to see you all here. I am Dale Roy Robinson. I am the COO of Field Team 6. And if you have ever listened to NPR, you know approximately what at least the first part of this evening will be like. If you've ever been to one of our strategy briefings, you'll certainly recognize Jason and Corey when we get to revealing the big numbers about what the work that we've all been doing and what you did in the 22 cycle. If you've ever been on Zoom, you know that at the bottom of your screen, there's a reactions button. I'm going to be asking some of you to punch that later. If you want to play along with our news quiz and for prizes. During this event, if you ever think of a question you'd like to ask Field Team 6, one of us, please just drop it into the chat with the word ask up front in all caps. Our chat volunteers will be collecting those questions for a quick Q&A at the end. Stealing liberally from NPR and WBEZ Chicago. This is Wait, Do Tell Me, the Field Team 6 news quiz. I'm Dale Roy Robinson, the voice that makes grown men weep and volunteers nationwide join Slack. And here is your host for the evening, Brian Tyler Cohen.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dale. Okay, so it is so great to be back with you all. I especially enjoyed the Registered Democrat Summit that we had a few weeks back, so I had to say yes to hosting yet another Field Team 6 Zoom event here. This one with some of my favorite super volunteers. So later on, we're going to be hearing from some Field Team 6 partners here, including founder Jason Berlin and Field Team 6 Chief Strategist Corey Alpert, as they reveal the highly anticipated numbers behind what Field Team 6 did in the 2022 cycle. So just pick a number between 1 and, yeah, actually, I'm not going to give that away. But first, it is your turn to play one of our games here. So if you raise your hand using the reactions button, that was the button that Dale was just referencing at the bottom of your Zoom screens right now, we will unmute one lucky person.
All right. I'm going to go with Anna Mendez.
Anna Mendez. Awesome. Well, welcome to Anna. You were on a show that we're calling Wait, Do Tell Me. So, Anna, do tell me where you're from.
I am in Saratoga, California. Hello.
Oh, awesome. Well,
that's my dog.
Happy to have you from a fellow Californian here. Although I'm not sure where that is in California. Is that up or down relative to Los Angeles?
It's in the Bay Area.
Okay, so you're up. Well, what do you do there?
I'm a full-time activist. I call myself a radicalized suburban mom.
I wish we could. I wish we could transpose that job onto every single person we have. So, okay, well, welcome to the show. Let me introduce you to our panel this week. So, first off, known as the czar of many things at Field Team 6, she's also the mom of many kids and the haver of many migraines, which I'm assuming are directly correlated. First up is Sharon Lord Greenspan.
Hi, I'm a radicalized suburban mom. So good to be with you.
Our next panelist is Zoe Perry. She is a stalwart fan of Field Team 6, hosting multiple Drinks for Democracy fundraisers with her dad, Jeff. The rest of the world knows her as an actress, including as young Mary Cooper in the CBS sitcom Young Sheldon. That was a role originated by her mother, Laurie Metcalf, in the show's predecessor, The Big Bang Theory, and in recurring roles on The Family and Scandal.
Hi, it's so great to be here. I'm not technically an activist mom, but I play one on TV.
Okay, and so finally, when she's not running Field Team 6's text arcades or rescuing animals, our next panelist freelances as a horn star. That's right, I said horn star. Dana Williams is a professional horn player performing around the state of Florida, for which I think all of our feelings are complicated. And that's with stars ranging from Barry Manilow to The Who to Kristen Chenoweth to the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem or Idina Menzel. So let's jump in here. With the nation about to be forced into default by Marjorie Taylor Greene's pet, Kevin McCarthy, every American is probably thinking now, what rich friends do I have that might invite me onto an expensive vacation every year for the next 2 decades and buy and renovate my mom's house, but also continue to let her live there? But for those of us who don't have Harlan Crow on speed dial, the next thing you might be thinking is, could I invent something to make a lot of cash? Our panelists here are going to discuss a new invention from the news. Your job is to pick one who's telling the truth. So you'll win our prize, which is a bottle of my very own Quantifies Rosé, the profits for which go back to Field Team 6. So are you ready to play?
I'm ready.
All right. So let's do this. Let's hear first from Sharon Lord Greenspan.
Recently, scientists at Northwestern University developed a new type of Band-Aid that speeds up the healing process using, you guessed it, electricity. Yes, the electronic smart Band-Aid speeds up healing by zapping you with gentle electrical pulses. My question here is, how did they figure this out? Did they run around saying, oh, hey, is that an open wound? Mind if I put some electricity on that? Smart Band-Aid is fine. What you don't want, guys, is a smart ass Band-Aid. Way to ride a skateboard, idiot.
All right. Well, that is, I guess, what we would call an electrifying. It was Jason.
Jason.
Jason, of
The
course.
answer is
it
Jason.
Okay.
Okay. That was Sharon Lord Greenspan's electrifying idea in bandages. Let's hear from Zoe Perry.
The clapper, that classic invention of late night infomercials, is back, but it's not just turning off the lights on grandma. No, its inventors have reimagined it for the self-driving car era, and you can assign claps to 300 different commands. For example, clap once, your car turns on or off. Clap twice in rapid succession, and you can set the temperature to 22. Clap 3 times to pop the trunk. Just don't clap when you're listening to NPR and hear Jack Smith has filed an indictment, or you could cause all of those things and an accident triggering an airbag to explode. And I don't mean Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, damn.
All right. And the last story of the wonderful world of inventions comes from Dana Williams.
ChatGPT and similar artificial intelligence programs are being used by companies from Adobe to Uber for research, education, translations, and even to create art and music. What one Washington Post reporter discovered after diving into the unintended effects of AI was that New York representative and clothes horse George Santos has been using an early version of this technology to write his resume since 2001, the year his mother died. The first time.
Okay, so somebody has come up with an invention to make the world a better place. Is it from Sharon Lord Greenspan, which is a shockingly good Band-Aid, or Zoe Perry, a hands-on way to control your car without knobs, or Dana Williams, the best way to lie is to use AI? And what do you think?
Well, the best way to lie is to use AI.
Is that your guess?
But no, I'm not. I'm going to go with Sharon's electrified Band-Aid.
Electrified Band-Aid.
Final answer.
That is the correct answer. You've got a t-shirt for bluevoterguide.org and a bottle of Quantifies Rosé, which you can wear and drink as you fill out your next sample ballot. Thank you for getting that right. I was horrified at the prospect of not of having to say that you lost. So I'm glad that you got that right. So thank you so much for playing, and take care.
Thank you.
And next, with sincere apologies to NPR and WB Chicago, this is Wait, Wait, Do Tell Me, the Field Team 6 news quiz. This is just all, for those joining or watching right now, an entertaining way to get to our big number reveal, which is how many Democrats has Field Team 6 registered. So we'll get to that in a hot minute here, but first we're playing one more game with our panelists. So this time, our panel... we have some more questions for you from the news. So we're going to pair you each with a contestant from the audience, and then you'll play as a team. So first up is Dana. You'll be playing with...
All right, let's put your hands up real quick. Everybody in the audience, put your hands up. I'm going to pick somebody real quick. Hands up. Kathy Rawl. Yay.
All right. So Dana and Kathy, are you guys ready as a team?
I think so.
Kathy,
okay.
ready?
Let's go, Dana.
All right. Last week, the owner of a conservative apparel company filmed himself at a local Target in one particular section of the store, boys' clothing. What problem did this man have with the design choices that Target has made for boys' t-shirts?
You're supposed to know this, Dana.
They didn't give me the answer ahead of time. I'm thinking like at Target, they have very inclusive clothing.
So what broader idea does that fall into that the right has a particular problem with these days?
Trans.
Well, we'll try one more broader theme. It's a word we hear very
Pride.
often.
Is it a pride
Oh,
collection?
pride.
It fits into it.
It's a 4-letter word.
Rainbow.
It's a 4-letter word. It's a favorite word. You can hear it being uttered anywhere on Fox, anywhere in the chamber of the House or the
Woke.
Senate. Yes,
Woke.
that is correct.
Woke.
My
Thank
God.
you for getting it. I have like a block.
Because I
until-
live where woke comes to die. So
Yes,
Yes.
wokeness, specifically rainbows, because this man is threatened by boys wearing rainbows, and not just any rainbows, but rainbows, sharks eating rainbows, and trucks hauling rainbows. So this man himself wearing a shirt that says "God made," followed by the female and male icons, which are made famous on gas station bathrooms, just shows us how bad woke Target is. So, with that said, what I thought was particular. One sec, I have to let a dog out. There you go. Very small dog crying right here. Okay. What I thought was particularly endearing about this was not just the smart folks who basically told him to get a life, but the responses that reminded us how the decision to carry gender-neutral clothing actually has historical precedent here, and that is that our great-grandparents in the 19th century favored a gender-neutral style of dressing young children too. Here's a picture of Franklin D. Roosevelt as a child. That's not real, is it? Is it, Dale?
That is actually real.
Oh my God, that's wild. Oh man, Jason, I think has one just like that. Is that right? Is that right, Jason?
That is
Yeah,
correct.
I think
Our,
I always
our
get those
daughter, our daughter was christened in the, although it wasn't really christening, in the same dress that her father was christened in.
Yeah, wild. Okay, well, congratulations on getting that right. Let's move on to story number 2. So Dale, let's get
All right, hands up. Who's got their hands up? All right, here we go. And in 3, 2, 1, Susan Mochtinger.
All right, Susan. You here? Do we have you?
Yes, I'm just unmuting. Hi.
Okay, hi. Thanks so much for playing. All right, so we have Susan and Zoe Perry. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
All right. So, according to a recently published study in the Frontiers of Psychology journal, if people think of themselves as good-looking, they are less likely to do what to prevent COVID-19? If they consider themselves good-looking, what are they less likely to do?
I would assume wear a mask.
Is that your final answer?
I have to consult with my partner here.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
That what they're less likely to do to prevent COVID-19.
Correct.
Yes.
So what you guys think?
Sure.
You
Sure.
are correct. Susan, you've won a bluevoterguide.org t-shirt.
Yay!
And yes, people are less likely to wear a mask to prevent COVID if they self-perceive facial attractiveness. Researchers asked 1,030 participants, some of whom weren't exactly what they would consider attractive, to evaluate how attractive they saw themselves as and how likely they were to ask them to wear a mask in dangerously fascinating situations such as an in-person job interview or walking someone else's dog. The more attractive a person perceived themselves, the less likely they were to wear a mask because they thought the mask made them less attractive. Inversely, the less attractive someone found themselves, the more likely that they were to be smart enough to survive a deadly pandemic, according to the non-judgmental study published in late January. So congratulations to Susan. And last up, we have Sharon Lord Greenspan and Dale. Do we have a partner?
We do. We have Bo Dernbach.
All right, Bo, you here?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, happy to
Hey,
have you.
Bo. Let's do this.
Hello. Yes.
All right, so Mike Lindell, the CEO of My Pillow fame and
Oh my
star
God.
member of the insurrection planning dream team, just lost $5 million. Now we know it wasn't because he stores his cash under a pillow and was the victim of an unscrupulous tooth fairy. How did he lose it?
Yeah.
First of all, we know he's too hot to wear a mask.
That's right.
So my joke
What do you
answer,
think, Bo?
yes, my joke answer is he has to pay Jimmy Kimmel for going. No, that's not it. He publicized that anybody who could prove that cyber ninjas didn't have evidence of fraud would get $5 million. And a group decided that they proved that he didn't have evidence of election fraud.
Sharon,
this
sound good to
he
you?
has to pay
Yeah,
him.
I'm going with Bo's answer.
Bo, congratulations, you've won a 50-pack of Shepherd Fairy postcards. Mike, My Pillow founder and staunch Donald Trump defender Mike Lindell issued a challenge in 2021. Anyone who could debunk his data that he claimed contained proof that the Chinese interfered in the 2020 presidential election could win $5 million. Lindell called the challenge "Prove Mike Wrong." Someone proved Mike wrong, and now Lindell's firm is being ordered to shell out $5 million. A private arbitration panel ruled on Wednesday that Robert Zeidman, who is a 63-year-old computer forensic expert from Nevada, who, by the way, I think also is a Trump supporter, disproved Lindell's claims, and now he's entitled to $5 million. When Zeidman examined Lindell's data, not only did it not contain any proof of foreign interference, it didn't contain any information related to the 2020 election at all. So Lindell management initially declined to pay, but Wednesday's arbitration ruling will force its hand. Lindell insists the check is in the mail. Ask Louis DeJoy. That one was that's a Jason line that he had in there. So okay, well, thank you so much for playing. Congratulations, and thank you to our illustrious panel here. We really appreciate it. If this were NPR, we would go to a commercial break at this point, but this is Field Team 6 and our sponsors are you. So I'm going to press right on and introduce the founder of Field Team 6, the one and only Jason Berlin. If you enjoyed any of the commentary here, then you can thank me for that. If you didn't, then it's Jason's fault. So Jason, floor is yours.
Hello, thank you so much. Super podcaster Brian Tyler Cohen, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for hosting this. Brian has garnered over 1 billion views online across all his platforms. So please subscribe to his amazing podcast, No Lie, with Brian Tyler Cohen, and anything else he ever does. He's our hero. So yes, indeed, I am Jason Berlin, founder of Field Team 6. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Amazing to see people from all over the country. This started with just a ragtag group of unlikely heroes, just some passionate volunteers here in Southern California, and has become a national force, and all of you are responsible for that. So thank you so much for making Field Team 6 what it is, and for saving the world. At least 3 times so far, and for the time that you're about to do right now in this election cycle. Field Team 6, if this is your first time here, Field Team 6, we're named that after SEAL Team 6 because we are the crack group of voter registerers who go behind enemy lines in purple districts and states and do the impossible. SEAL Team 6 got bin Laden. So that's we're the nonviolence version of that. We are the only national organization laser focused on doing proudly democratic voter registration in the swing states where it matters most, the swing states that decide elections. And I'm going to actually start us off with this ramp up to our biggest numbers that we've ever been able to announce. I'm going to start us off with Nerd Alert. We're going to do a trip deep into Nerdsylvania right now before we reveal the big numbers, I want to talk about a groundbreaking study that we've done. The science of voter registration is very thin. There have been very few substantial studies done on it, and this is actually a huge contribution to it. We've done an RCT, which stands for a randomized controlled trial. Why it matters so much is because it answers the question, does what we're doing make a difference? Spoiler alert, oh my God, it does. It really does. So the randomized control trial is in the broadest strokes. It's where you have a group that you do not contact at all. And then you have a number of other groups who you contact with different combinations of outreach methods, email, text, phone calls, postcards. And RCT is the gold standard in proving additive effect. In other words, that what you're doing makes a difference. And just to boil it all down into one sentence, it takes multiple touches to register a voter. What we learned from this study allows us to extrapolate that out of all those touches, we were the decisive touch in 499,484 registrations. So almost 500,000 registrations since we started in 2019. One way to think of this is assists versus goals. So when we say we helped register a certain number of Democratic voters, and we're going to reveal that huge number in just a few minutes, we can think of the majority of those as assists. These 500,000 are goals. It all counts. It's all points on the board. And that biggest number is the one that matters most and that swings elections. So for a little more nuance on this study that we're super proud of, I'm going to hand it over to the perfect person, the one who designed it and executed it, our chief strategist, Corey Alpert.
Hey everyone. Hey Jason. It's been a while, been about 15 minutes since we last talked. So this study is probably, we think, the largest ever study done on partisan voter registration in US history. It includes 168,888 people, so almost 170,000 people all in 4 swing states across the United States. Who received a range of about 20 treatment styles. So some people got a call and a text, some people just got a text, some people just got an email, all compared against a group of people that we did not reach out to. The most effective combination of all those things that we found was a text and an email. That was the thing that was true across all demographics in all states. But every different type of mode of outreach had a positive effect somewhere. So, you know, in some aspect, everything that we're doing is having a positive effect in one of those states with one of those groups of people. It all helps us. One of the interesting things that popped out as Jason and I were talking earlier today was something like that a postcard and a text worked really well for women in Florida. And we're able to zoom down into that depth. Another thing that popped out was when we're looking at the data in Wisconsin, we had a larger impact on Black folks in Wisconsin in safe districts versus battleground districts, which that was something we wanted to look into. The difference was big enough. So what we found is that's actually a vestige of gerrymandering. So we're actually having a bigger impact because that's where there are more Black people in Wisconsin, is in safe districts, because of the way the state legislature has drawn those lines. And interestingly and positively, we just helped elect a new liberal majority in the Wisconsin Supreme Court that can actually help make those maps more fair, so that we're actually able to we've actually now done the work to help solve that problem. So this is the beginning of us diving into this world of doing randomized controlled trials, of doing more research in this space. we're really just starting here. So we're making sure that all the things that we're doing at Field Team 6 are the most effective, and we're doing them in the most effective ways. So the study, I know I've seen a few comments in the chat. The study will be available on the website in just a few months. We'll also be publishing the data. It'll be de-identified. So you won't be able to go and find an individual, but we will be publishing the de-identified data. So you can go and double check that as well on your own. So we'll be publishing that, as Jason said, in about a month. And we'll also be sharing that in the newsletter. So I know there will be some comments in the chat about how to sign up for that newsletter to make sure that you get that on Thursdays.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Corey, and thank you for being the only genius we know who can run a study like that. Yeah, it should be up within a month. If you'd like to hear about it first, sign up for the newsletter. We're going to drop that link in the chats. Comes out every Thursday. It's amazing. It makes you laugh and cry. And speaking of the news, congratulations, everybody, on the big news today. Oh, whoops. That's not the news I was thinking of. The fact that I don't have to buy a new t-shirt for this cycle. That's wonderful. Okay. All right. So we know who's going to be in the White House. Great. Now we just got to worry about the Senate and the House. So that's what we're going to do. All right. Now I want to take you on a numbers journey. All right. So first, let's go back to 2019. Field Team 6 had just started up right after the 2018 midterms. And in 2019, we were an all in-person operation. We did in-person voter drives exclusively. And what we did was help register 18,000 Democratic voters in swing states that first year. Very proud of that. In 2020, COVID could have shut us down. By all rights, it should have. Our volunteers were doing in-person voter drives in high traffic areas. That meant, they were the most vulnerable population in the worst place to be. But instead of shutting down, we figured out how to go digital. Dale, in an incredible turn of events, was hired about 2 weeks before COVID hit. During the early stages of COVID, we found Corey, and together they were instrumental in figuring out how to go digital. In other words, figuring out how to talk to data vendors and start building a one-of-a-kind database that's the opposite of most organizations' databases. What we have in our database are unregistered people who are likely Democrats. And so our stretch goal for that milestone 2020 election, our stretch goal was to register 100,000. And that we thought maybe, just maybe, we could get there. COVID was a huge curveball, but we went digital. And because of that, by the November 2020 election, we wound up registering not 100,000, but 784,875 Democratic voters in swing states. As you know, that not only put Biden and Harris in the White House and exiled the fast food fascists to Mar-a-Lago, but a couple months later gave us Senators Ossoff and Reverend Warnock in the great state of Georgia, elected during a runoff and giving us control of the US Senate. Out of those about 785,000 that we registered in 2020, we know that almost 500,000 voted. We were able to break that down by state and find out that those voters comprised 89% of Biden's winning margin in Wisconsin, 5 times his entire winning margin in Georgia, and 6 times his winning margin in Arizona. the 3 states that flipped the Electoral College. So in 2021, after the methed out Trump era, and Trump not only brought the world economy to its knees, but gave us COVID as his closing act. And so volunteers were burnt out like never before. Donors were broke. So we didn't stop doing what we're doing. Part of why I started Field Team 6 is so that there would be an organization that works on registering Democrats all year, every year, no off years. So we kept on doing the work. We got creative. We grew our digital programs, adding BYOP, texting, free texting program, social storming, and postcarding. And because we did that, we were able to register in 2021. We had registered 785,000 in 2020, an election year. This should have been much less than that in a so-called off year. Instead of less, we registered more. We got to 799,194 additional Democratic voters in swing states. This is not a total, this is for that year. Okay, which brings us to 2022. So in 2022, history told us we had a 93% chance of catastrophic losses. That's just the brutal history of it. The party in power should lose the House by easily 40 seats and definitely lose the Senate. That's hanging by a thread. Spoiler alert, that did not happen. What happened instead, and this is the number that is absolutely new. You're seeing it here for the first time ever. We ignored those odds. We did the work. And in 2022, we helped register another 1.3 million Democratic voters in swing states. That's incredible. That's because of all of you. It's because of every volunteer hour, every donor dollar. It all turns into this. This is how we do it. And what that does is bring our current total to, are you ready? Here it is. Brace for impact. Bend your knees. Here it comes. Dramatic sting, Dale.
Dun, dun, dun.
2,888,049 Democratic voters in swing states. That is how many you have helped register to date. That's incredible. That's insane. I'm sorry for the coughing. I have a cold. I strategically took only one NyQuil, so if one of my eyes goes to sleep at some point, just let it be. So that's insane. This group of just a few people in the beginning managed to do this. So now, for the first time, I want to take you into what it actually means to help register a Democrat, to take you on their registration journey a little bit, take you inside our database. And don't worry, we've de-identified the information, so we're not doxing anybody, but we're gonna show you 3 real people who we contacted, show you a little bit about how this works. So to take you on this tour, we have to go to the expert in the fields, our chief strategist, Corey Alpert again.
Yeah, so like Jason said, we wanted to take these big numbers and we wanted to talk about them in a more personal way, because I think for any of you who text, who phone bank, who send postcards, it can feel like these are just lines on a spreadsheet that sort of becomes a number and you're just sort of going through. But these are real people who are leading real lives, who are they have kids in school and they want to make sure that they're electing the right school board member. They want to make sure that their member of Congress actually represents who they are. So we have 3 stories. And Jason, if you want to share that screen, not that one. we have 3 people that we want to talk with you about, and we'll be sharing more of these stories in the coming weeks. So the first one coming from Wisconsin, South Milwaukee, is James. In 2020, we acquired a bunch of data on people who had been purged from the voter rolls in every state, but we had a lot of data specifically in Wisconsin. So we acquired data on him on September 1st of 2020. And the beginning of 2020, we started reaching out with some digital ads. We specifically had some ads on Facebook, some ads on Instagram. We're fairly confident. We don't have one-to-one data matching on ads, but we're fairly confident that we reached James via either Facebook or Instagram. And after 2020, he did not get registered. We ran a nationwide search for our entire database, which we do every year. And I'm going to pause there to say a huge thank you to Bruce Hanna, who I know is here, who helps us run that process every year. So James did not get registered. But on November 8th, election day, 2020, or 2022, sorry, we texted James and said, hey, it's election day. You can get registered same day in Wisconsin. And lo and behold, James went to the polling place, got registered on the same day, and then voted in the 2022 midterms and was part of that majority that helped re-elect Governor Evers. That's one of our stories. Next up, we have Kay in Houston, Texas. So Kay came from the same data set of people who had been purged from the voter rolls in 2020. Our partners at They See Blue helped us identify that Kay, along with hundreds of thousands of other people in our data, are likely Desi or South Asian. So they helped identify that Kay came from a specific community, and then helped us target and write content and write outreach that would reach Kay where she is. So about 2 weeks after we acquired data, we texted Kay, and then she got a digital ad, probably the same one that James saw. And then on July 8th, 2022, maybe someone here sent Kay a postcard. So, a little less than a year ago, someone sent a postcard to Kay, and then she got registered. So because of that outreach, we were part of that registration journey to where Kay ended up getting registered. Then the final story we'll talk about tonight is Angela, who is from North Las Vegas, Nevada. We acquired her last year. We had a great partner in Onward Toward Progress who helped us acquire a bunch of data in Nevada, and Jason will get into that in just a minute. But we acquired data on Angela August 22nd of 2022. And then
I just want to throw in that these are unregistered people who are likely Democrats.
Correct, yes. So when we acquire data on people, they are likely Democrats. So then we texted Angela, and then we texted her again, and then we texted her one more time just to make sure. And then Angela registered and voted as a registered Democrat in the 2022 midterms. So I'm going to throw it back to Jason for exactly the thing that Angela helped create in the state of Nevada.
Yes, Nevada is an amazing story made possible by one of our incredible partner organizations, Onward Toward Progress. I want to, before I get into Nevada, just say that everything we do, we want to share all the credit for these amazing achievements with every partner we have. We work diligently to be good organizers and be of service. So in all our battleground states, we work with and through organizations on the ground. And we, as far as every script for every form of outreach we have, postcarding, text banking, phone banking, we generate the best script we possibly can, but we give it to them, and we encourage them to tweak it, even rewrite it completely so it's in their own voice. Some people do rewrite it completely from scratch, and we encourage that because they know their voters better than anyone. And so that's part of how we work. We want to be of service and always defer to the organizers on the ground. And so this shows not all, far from all, but some of our biggest partners in this last cycle. And just want to shout out to them, from New North Carolina project that allowed us to reach every single one of the about 500,000 people on our list in North Carolina. Georgia Now, National Organization for Women, amazing partner, Human Rights Campaign. I won't mention all of them, but Fearless Action, youth-led organization that does amazing work. The Union, one of our national partners, is an offshoot of the Lincoln Project. They do amazing organizing and are fantastic at amplifying our volunteer opportunities. Same with Midas Touch, who you might know, our great partners, Progress North in Wisconsin, Turn PA Blue in Pennsylvania. Could not do it without their help. All right, so thank you, Corey, for that tour. And now about Nevada. Onward Towards Progress is a group of passionate activists who volunteer in various ways. They are not billionaires. It is led in part by Angel Trinan, our friend who is a nurse. And what they were able to do is together raise $55,000, not because they're connected to super wealthy people, but because they are great organizers and they just reached out to everyone they knew in a very diligent way and made passionate asks of whatever people could contribute. It added up to $55,000. And what it was specifically to be used for work in Nevada. So what we did is we ran the most thorough campaign we've ever run, bar none. We acquired a list of 171,000 eligible likely Democrats. We reached out to them via text, phone, email, direct mail. I'm going to run out of fingers. Postcards, ringless voicemail, targeted social media ads. We had a total of 667,000 touch points, and each person that we contacted, average touches per person was 3.9. So it's like they each got about 4 hugs from us in different forms. And here's what happened. And this is just a great example of best case scenario, like what we can achieve when we're given the funding to operate maximally. Okay. That campaign in Nevada, our goal was to register 25,000 people. We actually helped register 25,321. That is a bullseye. That will never happen again. Exactly like that. That is amazing. Significantly, we found out this is the number who voted, 7,866. That number is important because, as you may remember, Nevada has the Senate's most endangered Democrat last cycle, Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. She won re-election, and she won that by 7,928 votes. That is 62 votes more than we were responsible for. 62 votes. That is, I didn't have the PowerPoint reflexes to do this fast enough, but that is incredible. That is, what that means is that Onward Toward Progress and Field Team 6 were responsible for over 99.2% of the winning margin. All right. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto delivered us Democratic control of the Senate once again. And then Fetterman was able to add another, gaining a seat, getting us to 51. So I want to talk about fundraising for a second here. Our fundraising right now is down 67% from this same time last year. That's the one piece of bad news you'll hear from me. We operate, we survive and thrive because of grassroots donations. Our average donation is 2 digits, not 3. We get a lot of 1 digits, you know, though we appreciate those too, but it all adds up. And the value proposition that we offer is amazing. I'm going to talk about that a little right now. But just to say, if you can help, every dollar counts, and we stretch it further than any organization I know. Other organizations who do voter registration, their cost per voter is between $20 and $150. The Obama reelect, it cost them $150 for every Democrat they registered. Many of those organizations, almost all of them, are nonpartisan, which means they're registering both sides. And if they want to measure their good, they have to subtract the Republicans from the Democrats. And that sometimes erases the entire margin. So that's where we have an edge. As partisan voter registration organization, we are able to basically register and canvass at the same time, and make sure that about 90% of the people we register are Democrats or progressive independents. So other organizations, $20 to $150. Our cost to help register a new Democratic voter in the 2020 cycle, we were able to bring that down to a staggeringly low $1.50. That's insane. That's kind of off the charts insane. For this most recent cycle, we knew that the cost per voter was going to go up because it was a non-presidential cycle, it's a midterm cycle, and it just would be more expensive to help register a Democratic voter. It did not go up, and I am insanely proud of this next number I'm about to show you. Not because it's big, but because it's the smallest number. It is. Look how small that is. You can hardly see that. That is 65 cents. Okay, for people with eyes like mine, 65 cents per Democratic voter we helped register. That's what we brought it down to this last cycle. Why was the question? How can we do that? The answer is one, volunteer power. We are a volunteer army. Only 3 of us are paid: Dale, Corey, and I. The rest, we have a volunteer staff of between 100 and 120 at any given time. Super passionate, talented, skilled, very hardworking people, a bunch of whom are on this call right now, who, in addition to allowing us to do the incredible work this organization does, incredibly specialized work, they lead over 20 different teams. In addition to that, also do this. They help bring down the cost to this insane amount. Another reason is that we invested a lot of money in building the database that we now have in the 2020 cycle. So this cycle, we updated, we refreshed the data, but the majority of it we could still use. We currently have about 11 million contacts in there, the vast majority in swing states who are unregistered, likely Democrats. Whoops, someone figured out how to draw on a slide. I don't know how to undo that. Here, let me take this down for a second. So what, when people think about donating, often the first thing they think of is campaigns or the party. And a lot of times campaigns or the party spend millions of dollars on ads for television, for example, and that just are here and then gone. What we produce, our results that continue long after an election, our results are more Democratic voters in swing states and districts, many of whom will continue voting blue in hundreds of elections for the rest of their lives. So they will continue pushing those areas bluer over time. We're building real democratic human infrastructure from the ground up. Which brings me to the current moment, our goals for this next cycle. this year and 2024, our goal is win it all. It should be easy to remember. It is. That's what we need to do. Win it all. What I mean by that is defend the White House for these two, take back the House. We only need 5 seats, 5 additional seats to do that. We can do that and keep our 51 seat majority in the Senate. We do that, we not only save the world again, but we get federal voting rights that changes the whole game. We get abortion rights written into law. We get so many more good things if we run the tables and restore the Democratic trifecta. So that is our goal. We also, of course, want this to be a decisive landmark defeat of Trump-style fascism that actually protects democracy itself. The 12 states that we need in order to do this are these. These are our target states. Most of them chosen because they are triple word score states. In other words, states where Democrats that we register can help us win a swing House seat, win a swing Senate seat, and win the White House. So we're super strategic and targeted about where we register Democrats so that just a small number can have a huge impact. 2 exceptions to that on this map are New York and California. We're operating in those specifically for the House. There are so many swing districts in those states that either one of them on their own could be responsible for us taking back the House. We are Nevada. Let me start that sentence again. Nevada succeeded so wildly that we have drawn up field plans for each one of these states based on what we did in Nevada. They're available now. So if you would like to, or you and or your group would like to adopt a state or adopt even a district, a swing district in New York or California or anywhere else, let us know. If we don't have a field plan drawn up, we'll draw one up. We are super nimble. There is no bureaucracy that stops us from doing anything. So our goal in this cycle is to raise $3 million to register 3 million Democratic voters. You notice that's $1 a voter. We actually do want that 65 cents a voter to go back up a little because there are states that we have not operated in before for which we need to buy data. And we also need to refresh the data we do have just to make sure we're getting in young people as they, as they become available, and just to keep our numbers as up to date as possible. Don't let those big numbers scare you. Every dollar literally helps. So, small donations add up. If you can make a recurring donation of $5, $10 a month, that's great. That absolutely helps. So yes, going deep in a specific district or state is a great way to make a real difference. And that is the end of my presentation. I just want to say thank you, and we need you. We need everything you can bring to bear for this battle. This is the biggest battle of our times. And so keep showing up like you do, like you are right now. Keep signing up for shifts, keep donating, and it's working. Let's do this. Our dreams just keep getting bigger, and you keep making them reality. So let's open this up for a few, I know we're going a little late. We had a few questions.
Yeah, let's do 5 or 6 questions. Corey, you probably, good. Somebody's way ahead of me, and I know who it is. Thank you, Janet. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of questions, and they're all the same question. There's also other questions, but let's answer that question first. How do we determine who's a likely Democrat in our data?
I think that's a me question. So we work with a range of data partners, so data firms who work specifically in the progressive space. And so they each have their own individual scoring mechanisms that are based on demographics, on zip code, on if there's another Democrat in the household. There are lots of different variables that go in. All 4 of our vendors have different scoring metrics. And one thing that we're really excited about moving forward is we're actually working with them in the next 6 months to develop our own scoring metric that'll be powered as we continue to ingest more and more data to be able to have a better understanding of what that looks like. But right now, it's generally a mix of age, race, marital status, income, zip code. If there's another registered Democrat in the household, some mix of those things, along with a couple of other variables that move forward here.
Great. Okay, Susan asks, I want to register voters at a local community college. What's the best way I can be effective at that? Thanks.
Oh my God. You came to the right place. Depending on what state, do we know which Susan this is?
We don't, but just answer the question in general, because there's people from every state that probably want this answer.
Yes. Right on the homepage of fieldteam6.org, just scroll down and you will see a map. Click on whichever target state you would like to register voters in. Excuse me, and it takes you to Voter Drive in a Box. We're super proud. Voter Drive in a Box is just one page that has everything you need to lead your own voter drive. And by lead your own voter drive, that could just be you and a friend on a campus, or you alone at lunch hour. It has everything you need. It's basically talking to people and filling out forms. And talking to people is the hard part. That's why there's coffee.
Great. New volunteer, Cecily asks, new volunteers always want to know what is effective in getting people to vote. What is a concise answer to this question that includes our new data analysis?
I mean, I try to give people agency and urgency. Let them know it's super important and they can do it themselves. You know, when we say to someone at an in-person voter drive in the Trump days, we'd say, can you help me save the world from Trump? Now we can say, can you help me save the world from Trumpism? It, in one sentence, creates a high stakes narrative with them as the hero. And that is, there's no exaggeration involved. That's, you know, that's what they're doing.
Also, I think this is a good place to mention that Field Team 6 is kind of like singular in what we do as a partisan voter registration organization every day of every year. There are some organizations and campaigns and parties that will do voter registration for a few weeks before an election, but we're doing it every day of every year. And there are a whole long list of organizations that do GOTV, get out the vote, meaning if you're registered and you're on the rolls, they'll reach out to you to make sure that you know when the election is, where your polling place is, what ID you need. They might even offer you a ride to the polls, et cetera, through one of our partners, Ride Share to Vote. Just plug that in there. But if they're not registered, they get nothing. So what I think of as Field Team 6 is we're getting you over the fence and into the pool. And once you're in the pool, there's a whole bunch of lifeguards that can help you. So, but not a lot of people are getting people over the fence and into the pool. In fact, there's lots of people on the MAGA side who are trying to build those fences higher and more impenetrable. They want to make voter suppression more effective, and we are the ones who are keeping that from happening by getting more and more people registered. So I think that's also part of the answer.
Yes. I just want to add one more thing. Sarah Jekyll, our genius outreach director, former outreach director, who now heads up her own organization, Democracy, realized that when you attach it to a value, when you attach registering to vote to a value, it's much more appealing. Because if someone's not registered to vote already, registering to vote is not a value to them. But if you say, hey, can you help me fight for abortion rights today? That's huge. Can you help me fight for the democracy itself? Or fight for climate rescue? Attach it to a value and get people to pay attention.
Mervis asks, if we donate, can we tell you where we want the money to go?
You can tell us.
No, of course, the answer is yes. We have state-specific donation pages. Kyle, if you can put that link to the state's plan again in the chat. if you go there, if you want to do Nevada, or you want to do Pennsylvania, or you want to do Ohio, there's a donation page that's attached to that. Yes, of course, your money gets pegged to that. That goes into the budget for that. That's one of my jobs is basically tracking the money that's coming in and making sure that it gets filtered into the budgets for each of those states. So yes, the answer is yes.
Definitely. If you tell us you want to sponsor a text bank into Pennsylvania's 163rd House District, which there's an election coming up right now. May 16th is a runoff that will determine whether we get to keep the one seat Democratic majority in the Pennsylvania State House. So yeah, if you tell us you want us to run a text bank into there and you'll pay for it, oh my God, absolutely. You know, we're here for it.
Okay, there are lots of questions specifically about how to get involved. Obviously, go to fieldteam6.org under the actions menu, volunteer ops right at the top. That will take you to everything that we're doing at any given time, including with our partners. So that's a great way to get involved if you want to volunteer. If you want to help out behind the scenes, at the very bottom of the Field Team 6 homepage, it's join us. You can click on that. You can tell us your name, tell us your contact information, tell us your skills and passions and what you want to do, and we will plug you in. There's so many things going around happening here at Field Team 6. If you're a puppeteer, we'll put you to work. If you're a hairdresser, we'll put you to work. It's possible to, yeah, right? Jason needs some help right now with puppets, I think, probably. Okay, the last question I think is actually a question for another time because we are over time, and it's an involved question. But there are lots and lots of questions, Corey, in the chat about specifics of how different programs worked. How does postcarding work on its own? How does phone banking work on its own? How, like, volunteers who do those programs want to know whether what they're doing matters. And I feel like that answer is complicated. But the quick answer is it all matters. But the more complicated answer is for another time where we can literally go through each of those programs and say, this is what we found out. This is what we know. This is what we're doing.
Yep.
And just so everybody knows, this RCT was not just for everybody else to get them more excited about what we're doing. It's also for us to make sure that we're being as efficient and effective as we can be with the resources that we have.
Yep, and we'll also be publishing our impact report from the last from the 2022 cycle, where we go over in a broader sense each of those programs and how they proved effective and where and what made them effective in their own way, broken out by all kinds of things. And like Dale said, it makes our efforts stronger, and it means that what we're doing is more targeted, more effective. It means that all the donations that I'm seeing flood in right now are used in the best possible way. So thank you to everyone who's helping us, who's helping power that work.
Terrific. All right, with Jason, I think that was the last question. So let me leave it with you. Let's just go back to that moment when it was Sarah Jekyll and you and Wayne Liebman. Did you think this would happen?
No, this is insane. This is insane. We now have, you know, from 3, we now have over 17,200 volunteers across the country. That blows my mind. I think about that every day, probably an average of 20 times. Yeah, so not only have all of you saved my personal sanity in a super concrete way, but the sanity of people across the country with what you've done. It's insane. It moves me like crazy. It's it's really, you know, when I say that this deep ugly that we're seeing is being answered by a deeper beauty, and that's all of us coming to this fight and showing up and being here for it. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful things I've seen in my life, and it's the honor of my life to be a part of it. So thank you. I have to say, coming up, you know, check out volunteer opportunities on our website. This May 16th election in Pennsylvania is super important. There's also a May 16th mayoral race in Jacksonville, Florida, where we have a chance to elect Donna Deegan, Democratic mayor of Jacksonville. Put a stick in DeSantis's eye, you know, put a stick in the Cyclops' eye. Let's do that. And help out our friends. We can't write off any state because we know we talk to the super badasses who are the activists in Florida, in Texas, in these tough places where they don't stop, they keep going, and they're our inspiration too. So yeah, I love all of you. Thank you for being here. Let's keep on going.